Hey Insurance, this is Tony Cañas, Chief Motivational Officer at Insurance Nerds and PNC Client Advisor at the Jacobson Group. And I am recording today from my home base of Columbus, Ohio. I get to be home all week this week. How incredible is this? I am recording at like 8:30 p.m. after working, I don't know, like 3 16-hour days this week. It's like 16, 12, 16 kind of thing. It's been really crazy. I'm loving it, but super busy. So that's why I'm recording kind of super late. Today, I want to talk to you. Today, somebody posted in the CPCU candidates group on Facebook, which I've been a member of for a long time. If you're doing CPCU, you should join, by the way. Great place to get career advice, CPCU advice, and motivation. Anyway, somebody posted this meme, this graphic, this famous saying, something like that. I'll try to include it. I don't know if my video editing skills are good enough to be able to bring it into the video, but if not, I'll probably show it somehow. But anyway, this graphic said, "Work hard in silence. Let success be your noise." And this is one of those phrases that sounds really wise. They might as well have put, Mark Twain at the end of it and just quoted it to somebody famous or Albert Einstein or I don't know. And so this is one of those phrases that sounds like a great truth. And it might even have been a great truth a couple of decades ago or 3 or 4 decades ago. Today, I honestly think that this is tricky advice. I think that this is not an absolute truth today in the career world. I think that it's more, it invites a conversation. Because I think that today, it might still be good advice in some places. And I think that 30 or 40 years ago, it was probably good advice in most insurance jobs, non-sales insurance jobs, because most carrier side jobs 20 or 30 years ago, I've done a lot of research on this, obviously before my time, but most of those jobs were pretty meaty jobs where you could really learn the industry and where you could really pay your dues and the leadership had good visibility of you and there was an expectation of lifetime employment and they really invested in growing you. The entry-level job, if you started your career 30 years ago as a multi-lines claims rep, claims adjuster, maybe even on the field, handling claims from beginning to end, all the way to litigation sometimes, handling maybe both personal and commercial lines claims, then yeah, this might have been good advice at that time, probably was. But today, I think that it really depends on the context. I think that this advice might still be good advice in some places. Within the actuarial space, this might still be good advice. Within the accounting space, within the finance space, maybe. The biggest thing is I think this is awful advice in some places. And in some places that are very common within the entry levels of insurance, especially carrier side insurance, today. I want to talk to you about the A student versus C student conundrum. When I was in high school, I was a C student. And my grandfather, who had himself been an A student all through his life, and I'm the namesake. I'm Antonio Cañas IV, or T4. My grandfather, Antonio Cañas II, was very successful. He was an A student his whole life in Costa Rica. Then he came to the US and he went to a military high school, finished high school early with first in his class. Then he went to Purdue where he graduated from electrical engineering at the top of his class. He is in the academics in the Academic Hall of Fame at Purdue to this day. Then he went from there back to Costa Rica where he got married, had my dad. He was working at the electrical company. And he got an MBA or a master's in finance at the same time, competing against fellow full-time students, and he graduated again top of his class. Then came to Chicago for a few years, and got an advanced degree in physics, and again with top of his career. So he was an A student. I did not inherit that. He was an A student, and by this point in his life, when he was chatting with me in his maybe 60s, maybe 70s, probably 60s. He said something like, "I'm an A student, and my friends from high school, college, grad school are all A students, and I'm the only one that made money. What I've seen is that I'm an exception to the rule. A students are very smart, and they become researchers, they become professors, they become very academic, very intelligent fields, and they don't make a lot of money. B students end up becoming high school teachers, or kind of mid-level academics, and they don't make a lot of money. C students make a lot of money and do very well in their careers. And he told me he spent a lot of time thinking about it, and what he realized is C students learn to negotiate along the way. They have to in order to survive school. And that's a skill that's very useful in the workforce. And I think it's a skill that's become maybe more useful after this time. When I joined insurance at the call center level, at a really great call center, and then I moved from there to a better non-call center job at a very major carrier. And I met a lot of the call center kids in that carrier. And what I saw is a lot of A students who are still in that call center. In fact, in my very first call center, which was 10 years ago, it was 2009, some of the kids who had been A students in college are still in that call center. They're fantastic at what they do. I don't know if they're happy, but they're still in that call center. And here, the C student, I basically ran laps around them. And that's what I've seen throughout my whole career in insurance, is lots of A students who are really good at working in silence and doing the work well and having pride in how they do the work, while not being good at marketing themselves, or even being embarrassed about having to market themselves. And they're waiting to be tapped on the shoulder. And that's the key piece. A few decades ago, it was very common to get tapped on the shoulder. In the age of lifetime employment, getting tapped on the shoulder because you did a good job and getting promoted because of that was common, and that's how most of us were raised. And the difference today, it's all about the context, basically. Those of us who work in companies that still have a tap in the shoulder, everybody knows everybody, your performance gets rewarded, you see other people get rewarded for performance, only for performance, nothing else matters other than the performance, there are true meritocracies, then yeah, work hard in silence, let your success be your noise, because you will rise. The cream rises to the top in those cultures. Today, at a large carrier, my experience is that is generally not the case. Especially if you start at the very entry level, generally, former A students who are proud of doing a great job and make sure they do a great job, they will stay great call center employees forever until they burn out. They will never grow because the company will just not notice their work. And I want to be very clear. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned the A student stuff at all. Maybe that's a different video. But because certainly there are some B and C students that do really well in the call center and they're still stuck there. But the point is A students grew up in a world where you did your work, you did it well, and you rose to the next level, you rose to the next grade. And there comes a point where in the workforce that is no longer true. It is the person who does the job best does not always get promoted, especially not at the entry levels. At the entry levels, it's very easy to get stuck. It's very easy to do the job well, and you'll be a great call center person forever until you burn out. You'll never get recognized for doing it. I want to be very, very clear. I am not saying that doing a good job or doing a great job is not important. It is. What I'm saying is it's not enough. In today's world, doing a great job is table stakes. And I will link my recent video, my recent 1 hour session that I did for a Gamma Sigma called The First 5 Years. Point 1 is point 2 is doing a great job is table stakes. It is required to grow, but it is not enough. You also need to network. You also need to grow your technical knowledge by education. You also need to make sure the right people know how good you are at your job. You have to make sure the right people know that you want to grow, that your goal is to grow to a specific level or a specific function. It takes much more today, especially in a big carrier, especially if you're at the entry level. It takes much more than working hard in silence and letting success be your noise. So I am definitely out of time. So I will leave that here today. Please leave your comment below. Am I wrong? Am I right? Was this good advice back in the day? Is it good advice in some functions? Do you think that it's good advice today in every place in insurance? I would love to discuss this one-on-one. If anybody wants to discuss it, leave comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. TC out.